Hello, welcome to Northbeat from Fort McPherson, Northwest Territories. Tonight we are at the Happy's Landing Fish Camp along the Peel River. You can see it's a little bit windy. Luckily, it's not too cold down here right now. We will have more video of this camp at the end of the show, plus a tour of the Fort McPherson tent and canvas store. But we begin with the news. Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts in Fort McPherson, Northwest Territories. We begin tonight in the Yukon. Yukoners will cast two ballots on November 3rd. One is the usual ballot for the election. The other is for a non-binding plebiscite on electoral reform. But for some voters, awareness of that second ballot is mixed.
Do you know anything about the issue?
Yeah, not as much as I would like, but somewhat, and I think it would be great for us to do it.
I haven't heard about it until now.
Oh, no, I haven't heard of it.
I haven't heard about it. Anywhere I haven't heard about it.
No, not very much. I've heard lots of people talk about the election, but I haven't heard very much about electoral reform.
We got a system that kind of works. So why don't you just leave it?
Yeah.
So what exactly is being asked in Yukon's upcoming plebiscite? How will it work and what's at stake? The CBC's Chris Windier brings us the details.
For the first time, Yukon voters are being asked what they think of the way they choose their MLAs. There are two options: keep the first past the post system or adopt a new system of ranked choice voting. But what are these systems and how do they work? If you voted, you know first past the post. It's used for the vast majority of elections in Canada. In a lot of ways, it's simple. Everyone votes for one candidate. Whoever gets the most votes wins. But in partisan elections, it tends to warp the results. A good example of this is the 2016 Yukon election. The Liberals won a majority government with 39% of the vote. The Yukon Party got almost the same share of seats and votes, but the big loser was the NDP. Their vote share got them just 2 seats. In 2021, the NDP convinced the Liberals, who now had a minority government, to look at electoral reform. That led to the creation of a Yukon Citizens Assembly. Nearly 40 people came together to pick a new option for a voting system. Their choice was ranked vote. So what is ranked vote? Well, it's not a radical departure from the current system. The key difference is instead of marking an X for one candidate, voters can rank the candidates in order of preference. If no candidate gets 50% of the vote, elections officials start counting second preferences or even third preferences until someone gets a majority. This system isn't super common in Canada, but it is used in Australia, Ireland, India, Alaska, and other places. There have been previous attempts at electoral reform in Canada, in BC, Ontario, and Prince Edward Island. None of them have passed. You might think electoral reform advocates in the Yukon would be excited about this plebiscite, but not so much. They want to see proportional representation on the ballot, but Elections Yukon says that is just not going to happen. And no matter what the results are November 3rd, it may not even matter. The plebiscite is non-binding on the government, so unless ranked vote wins in a landslide, it could very well be status quo in the Yukon. Chris Windier, CBC News, Whitehorse.
There are concerns in the Northwest Territories about a proposed nuclear project in northern Alberta. The Peace River nuclear project is still in its early stages of planning, but there are fears that if it goes ahead, it could impact water flowing into the NWT. Luke Carroll has more.
Energy Alberta, a private company, is pitching the Peace River nuclear power project. It's for 2 nuclear reactors that could power millions of homes a year. The project would be installed about 30 kilometers north of Peace River, but the project comes with risks, including the potential for treated wastewater entering the environment. In response, the NWT government says the company isn't considering the Transboundary Water Agreement and that Energy Alberta's draft Indigenous engagement plan does not include any Indigenous governments in the NWT. The territory isn't alone in its concerns.
Well, we've heard that song and dance before by many of the industries that have come to our territories. And as soon as they deplete the resource, they leave, and they leave behind an environmental mess.
CBC News reached out to Energy Alberta for an interview, but was denied. Energy Alberta sent an email saying it has previously engaged with Dene Nation at a workshop and that they are open to more Indigenous governments and communities reaching out. Luke Carroll, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Today is the third day of witness testimony in the trial for the murder of a 17-year-old. It happened in Betchacon NWT in August of 2023. Tamara Merritt reports.
Zach Lafferty is charged with second-degree murder for the death of Dejan Drybones after Drybones died of serious injuries in Betchacon in August 2023. Since the beginning of Lafferty's trial in Yellowknife on Monday, the court has heard testimonies from 7 witnesses. According to the testimony of 2 witnesses who were with Drybones the night he died, 6 people were partying at a house together, including the victim and the accused. They were all drinking and some people were smoking marijuana. A witness who wasn't at the house had multiple phone calls with Drybones throughout the evening. She said one call occurred early in the morning when Drybones told her he had been stabbed. After hearing this, the witness said she called the police. Cecilia Wu is a forensic pathologist who performed an autopsy on Drybones 5 days after his death. She said today that Drybones died of a stab wound to the chest, with 2 injuries to his heart. She said his likelihood of survival had been low, and while his blood levels showed he was intoxicated, that it did not contribute to his death. The trial continues tomorrow with more witness testimonies. Tamara Merritt, CBC News, Yellowknife.
In the Northwest Territories, the community of Wati is losing its regularly scheduled air service, at least for now. Air Tindi is suspending its 3 times per week service starting on Sunday. The company cites lack of demand for air travel since the all-season road opened in 2021. It says the decision wasn't made lightly, and it's aware that the suspension could have impacts on residents needing routine medical travel to Yellowknife.
You don't want somebody to suffer through a 2-hour and 40-minute drive if they're in any sort of discomfort, and that's probably why it held on as long as it held on and why we take the decision very seriously.
The flight had previously carried up to 19 people per trip. Now a total of just 8 people are booked for the coming 3 months. Reynolds says the suspension of service remains temporary for now, and it could resume if subsidized. Construction of a new medical boarding home in Yellowknife has officially been given the green light. Larga Kitimute's current boarding home has 58 beds. It had applied to build a new, larger facility that would raise the number of beds to about 150. The company announced Monday that it had been granted a development permit by the city of Yellowknife. The president of Larga Kitimute says capacity limits have been an ongoing issue at the current facility.
We've kind of been over capacity for 6 or 7 years, actually. And so most people know that there's an accommodation issue in Yellowknife because of tourism season. And it's great to see all the tourists here, and it can cause difficulty in booking hotel rooms or extra space. So it has been difficult at times.
Adlam says they hope the new facility will be built by the end of summer 2027, but that could change due to ongoing economic uncertainty. Larga Kitimute says it'll share more updates as the project progresses. The Kikitani Inuit Association, or QIA, is deciding how to spend more than $50 million in federal funding set aside for housing and infrastructure. Today was the last day of its annual general meeting in Iqaluit. Staff voted in favor of recommending a list of items to be considered for the final allocation of the funds. The president of QIA says the money could go to new Inuit housing projects.
The money won't cover all the communities, but we certainly have ideas where we could put more houses in the future.
Akasuk didn't say where the units would be located. The organization is also considering using the money to help develop more daycares for communities that don't have them. Another possibility? Using the money to support the development of community harbors across Nunavut. The final list of where the funds will go will continue to be worked on by QIA staff, and it's expected to be presented to its board of directors next year, who will then finalize it. QIA began its board of directors meeting this afternoon, and that meeting will run until Friday.
Singer Sarah McLachlan has launched an all-female tour.
I was in disbelief that I'd never heard of it before.
Paula Cole, Erica Badu,
Sinead O'Connor,
Missy Elliott,
Sarah McLachlan, Sheryl Crow, Jewel.
Promoter said, you can't put two women on the same bill. People won't come. And it put a huge fire under my butt to prove them wrong.
Women singer-songwriters in the 90s. They're my Northern Stars.
This is much bigger than what we even thought it could be.
On your marks.
Get set. Miracles never cease.
They're making more money than they have ever made in the history of the music business.
I'm a nanny.
Like Mary Poppins?
It's like the Force. Sorry, have you seen Star Wars?
No. Very predictable, you know that?
I'm hardly predictable.
Watch me follow my every move.
I'm trying very hard not to connect with people right now.
Wonderfully vibrant cuisine.
Salted egg yolk, Dungeness crab.
The most generous people you'll ever meet.
We always want to share the best with you. That's how we show love.
Lavish celebrations.
If this is where Filipino food is headed, I'm so proud.
Beautiful.
The city was under a state of emergency.
When you want news,
was found alive.
we are here for you.
CBC News, Ottawa.
And here.
Winnipeg, Whitehorse.
And here.
Coteau-du-Lac, Saskatoon,
And here.
Montreal,
Calgary,
Vancouver,
Charlottetown, Dartmouth.
A man purchased this box.
What did he look like?
A man. Normal. Not particularly attractive. And he's standing right behind you.
So, you want to watch the CBC News streaming channel? You can, wherever and whenever you want. Here's how to find us. We're on the CBC News app, on CBC Gem, and on your smart TV. Stream anytime, it's always free. CBC News.
Hello, I'm Paul Andrew. Here's George Tuckaroo with the news.
Thanks, Paul. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Carol Morin.
That's Northbeat for tonight. I'm Nadira Beg. Good night.
Good evening. I'm Randy Henderson. We start in the Northwest Territories.
Good evening. I'm Kate Kyle.
I'm Hillary Bird.
Shannon Scott.
Juanita Taylor, and this is Northbeat.
It's a local business that boasts a long history. Fort McPherson Tent and Canvas opened in the 70s, and it's been going ever since. The store manufactures its products in the community and ships them far and wide. We stopped by to learn more and get a tour. Mariah, thanks for being here with me. Can you just start by telling me where we are right now?
We are at the Fort McPherson Tent and Canvas in Fort McPherson. Right now we are in the workshop, the factory. My role right now is the general manager. On September 30th, I was like 1 year anniversary, so I'm very proud of myself for that. I lived in Yellowknife for 26 years, and then I moved back home, and I just wanted to move home to be closer to my parents and family and friends, and this job came up, so I applied for it. And I got it, and I'm really excited to be here. One of the things that really stands out for me is it's someplace where a lot of people worked from my past, like the elders, and even my grandma Doris worked here. And I'm very proud to say that this Fort McPherson Tent and Canvas has been open for 55 years this year. Yes.
Yeah, it's a place that has a lot of history in the community. I mean, you grew up here, so tell me what this store meant to you when you were, growing up?
I just know that it was really busy growing up. There was a lot of production going on, especially back when Canmar and Esso were open. They were ordering like bulk material, wholesale, coveralls and everything that they needed to work in the oil fields. And then they eventually started with tents and teepees, and that's one of our biggest sellers today.
Yeah, tell me why it's so important for you to have a business like this in Fort McPherson as opposed to, down south. It's just harder in the north, right? So why have this in this community?
Well, a little bit of history when it started. It started because in 1970, a whole bunch of men, hunters, they were going over to continue the trail by dog team over to Dawson. And the women in the community, they got together and they wanted to make sure that they had everything warm, like warm hat and everything, their whole outfit. And they were made out of traditional material. So afterwards, there was a businessman in the community, Piet Van Loon. He saw that, there was potential there. So he started with a business plan. First, the government, back then, ITI funded the canvas shop, and then it went into business development. And now it's under Prosper NWT. For me, seeing that, I feel that it's really important because it brings jobs to the community. Back in 1970, right up to 1990, I think they had about 30 to 35, 40 employees here. And so now today with technology taking over, it's maybe about 10 to 15 people. So we're still striving.
Is there anything else that you wanted to tell me about what goes on here, its role in the community, or even your role here and what you bring to the community now that you're back home?
I don't like to talk about myself, but I am with a lot of experience living in Yellowknife and working for the government and working for many years for Dene Nation and working for Health and Social Services and WSCC. I think I bring back to the community a lot of experience that I went through and learned, and also through my education in business, and just a whole variety of experience. But one of the biggest things for me about this job is I love meeting people. And I love the customer service part about this job because I meet people from all over the world.
That is such a special thing to do. Mariah, thank you so much, Mussy, for giving us this tour and also for chatting with me today.
You're welcome.
The fate of 30 belugas at a now defunct theme park in Niagara Falls is still uncertain. Federal government rejected Marineland's request to move the whales to an amusement park in China. Various levels of government are now grappling with what to do with them. Lisa Shing has the details.
Once a major tourist attraction, Marineland's beluga whales now at risk of being euthanized after the federal government blocked the park from sending them to an aquarium in China.
I have been just slightly back and forth with a counterpart in Ontario and certainly support their work on solutions.
Various levels of government are now grappling with what to do with the whales.
The feds need to step in and help us out.
Watching the whales while they swim and play.
The theme park in Niagara Falls, Ontario, which closed to the public last year, was a source of controversy for animal rights activists. And a 2019 federal ban undermined its business model of using captive whales for entertainment. Now, finding a solution isn't so easy. Some want the mammals sent to a proposed sanctuary off the coast of Nova Scotia.
This is a bay that really can sustain a long-term engagement of these whales and can sustain having a sanctuary in that environment that we can maintain safely.
But that $15 million effort is stalled. Property owners beside the proposed location aren't in favor of the project. And there are other challenges. At a similar preserve in Iceland, these two belugas have struggled to adjust, spending the majority of their time indoors, according to this researcher.
Everything is different. The weather conditions are changing. The temperature is changing.
And if adapting to a sanctuary setting is complicated, this scientist says a future fully in the wild would be devastating.
Something they've never adapted to, they get rejected by other animals, and they're really looking at a life of starvation, loneliness.
Some experts say their best chance is to somehow keep them in a tank, since that's the only life they've ever known. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
A rare white beaver is making waves in Ontario. The CBC's Stu Mills got a chance to see the animal in person when he was contacted out of the blue by his old pal, Dennis Jackson. Check it out.
After 10 years of not talking, I found myself here. The photographer had written to say he'd seen a rare white beaver and wondered if I might think it was worth a story. Jackson suggested we bring along an expert, and that's how the famed naturalist and Carleton University professor Michael Runts ended up on board with us.
Beautiful evening.
The wildlife expert and author warned us it wasn't the sight of us or the noise we might make as much as the way we smelled that most hurt our chances of seeing the animal.
And when they're on land, they're always having their heads up and smelling the air for danger.
There were plenty of beavers to see, but the white one was being shy. Would the white beaver make an appearance?
I think that often is done if there's a family, if there's young ones. Oh, there's the beaver. There he is.
There it was, and there it goes. With a slap, it had disappeared.
I'm surprised.
We worried it would be gone for good until it reappeared, somehow unafraid of us. To understand just how rare a white beaver is and why its fur is that color, I came to the Canadian Museum of Nature. This expert on Canadian mammals says it's not an albino beaver, but a beaver with leucism, a genetic condition that causes a loss of pigmentation, and the museum has a sample in its collection.
It's right here.
A pelt collected more than 100 years ago from northwestern Ontario. Millions of beavers were trapped in Canada during the fur trade. Dominique Fautus says a tiny fraction would have been born white, and of those, few would have survived, sticking out like a sore thumb.
A leucistic beaver could become more vulnerable for sure.
All in all, then, a rare white example of a Canadian icon and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Stu Mills, CBC News, Ottawa.
Garden season is winding down across the north. In Tulita NWT, there are still green tomatoes to be picked. The manager of the Hamlet's Garden says it's been another successful year of growing and giving away free produce. The CBC's Leanie Lambrink has more.
This is the community garden in Toledo, Northwest Territories. We visited in May, and this is what it looked like then. In the months that followed, the space grew a lot of produce. The garden manager says it's hard work, but being able to give away fresh produce to members of his community is worth it.
A lot of them can't afford to buy it at the store because of the cost in that. So we give stuff out free to the people now, which they really appreciate it. I love the look on the elders' faces when you hand them something, the big smile.
Tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini. Mormon grew a long list of vegetables this year. Some of it has been going to the community's preschool.
Well, Darren gives me quite a bit, and some of it I use for the preschool, especially Well, for the young people, like they like the carrots and the raw vegetables. They ask for more. That's the first sign you can tell is when they want more that, they really like it then.
Mormon still has work to do closing up the greenhouses for the season, but already he's thinking about next year when he hopes to grow even more kinds of veggies. Lainey Lambrink, CBC News, Yellowknife.
And that is Northbeat for this windy Fort McPherson night. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. We leave you with a closer look at where we are right now, the Happy's Landing Fish Camp in Fort McPherson, NWT. And we will have more on this camp and its impact on the community coming later on our show. I'm Megan Roberts in Fort McPherson, NWT. Have a good night.